on the back of what Her Ladyship, the Chief Justice, just indicated about the threats that she had received and the fact that the calls on her to resign or she could possibly be exposing herself to some threat. I recall you had made that suggestion to her right from the beginning of this entire process that she should just resign. She says that is not on the table. It's not an option that can even be considered. And that at the great disadvantage and discomfort to her, she's going to have to marshal all her arsenals and ensure that this entire process goes way through to the end. Counsel.
Yes, yes, the point that it's not open to her to resign is correct in law. Yes, so this is one that on the program, you see that I was in favor of the resignation because I thought it would favor the whole, or it would be beneficial to the justice system and the larger Ghanaian society because it would have brought closure quickly, etc. But subsequently, it turned out there was a Supreme Court decision my attention had not been drawn to. That's the Justice Amwa case. And then later I saw that in the Justice Paul Derry versus Tiger PI case, that one to the Supreme Court repeated that when the processes start, it's not open to the respondent, as the person that's answering and has been accused of wrongdoing, to resign, right? Yes, so that's what the Supreme Court says. But, and that's the Supreme Court is the final arbiter on the law. Except that, the law too grows. The law grows. If you look at the way, this whole trial is panning out, the way Chief Justice Tokono has come out and described what's happening. I'm not saying that everything she's said is true. I'm not in a position to judge. But I mean, the fact that she's describing to us what's going on in there, etc., and the previous, leakages, etc., then you see that this reinforces the opportunity for a resignation because it helps us. So these Supreme Court decisions, let's see, the Supreme Court has an opportunity to depart from its previous decisions. I'm not saying that in this particular case it's going to do so, but, it's powers that are in the Constitution, sometimes looking at the damage, etc., the Supreme Court can look at it and with hindsight try to correct. Because I'm sure at the time we're looking at, or the time the Justice Amwa decision was given, that's in 2015. That's a 2015 decision. Then you come to the Justice Derry one. The Justice Derry one is in the 2015-2016 Supreme Court of Ghana Law Reports. Right, that's volume 2. Yes.
Right.
At that time, nobody contemplated what is happening now, that a Chief Justice would come out and seek to tell her version. So let's look at it. Going forward, somebody could take it up. But for now, on the authorities, they say that once the process has begun, then the respondent, that's the person who is accused of wrongdoing in the Article 146 proceedings, cannot resign. And this one is not applicable to only Chief Justice Tokono. It also means if, let's say, the electoral commissioner were in a trial today, or take the other constitutional bodies, also you have Court of Appeal judges, High Court judges, the OSP, and then the NCC. So all the officers who are entitled or who must go through Article 146 proceedings before they can be removed have the same law. That's all of them go through 146.
I see. And Counsel, maybe quickly before I let you go, having described the entire process, the committee, some of the members of this committee, and the entire work of the committee in these words, as you heard her at that press conference earlier today, would you say it would be to her good to go back and still continue the hearing before this same committee? Or at this point, after this press conference, walk away?
Most probably, if she continued to participate it would help to ameliorate, that's reduce the damage that will be done to her case, right? If she didn't participate at all. So let's take it this way. Some allegations have been made. It is through cross-examination of the witnesses for the petitioners, etc., that we will get a clearer picture. And also, so generally, you know, sometimes there is bias. So as you are writing the story, there are mistakes. There's also the unconscious bias. So sometimes we embellish cases more than we should unintentionally. So there's unconscious bias that you may not be aware of. So in the zeal, you overstate a case, etc. So through cross-examination, some of these things are taken out. Look, if you want a practical example, remember the National Service Authority case. When the case broke last year, just before the elections, the figures that were mentioned were far higher than the 548 the Attorney General, Dr. Ayeni, is taking to court. So these things happen. So if Justice Tokonu stayed, should be able to reduce the impact of the cases, will be able to help, you know, eliminate the mistakes or curb mistakes, etc. Then we'll get a truer version than if she just abandoned it. So it's definitely in her interest to continue to participate. But there's a part, I don't know if you've already referred to it. She said she'll be going to the High Court to challenge some of the unconstitutional actions, etc., that she's seen. Yes. So let her have a day in court. Then we'll see how it pans out.
I appreciate your thoughts on this, Counsel. Thank you very much for your time on this. We have still more days ahead of us to get into a bit more detail of what she put out earlier today. Martin Kpebu is private legal practitioner. And Dennis, on that last point about what she's going to do next and what she's instructed her lawyers to do, that's the next phase and the final phase, is it not?
Yes, so she's now heading to the High Court. And in that action, she intends to, in fact, she has indicated that lawyers have filed for a judicial review of all the processes that are ongoing before the committee. Now, many are asking, if you have gone to the Supreme Court, why are you coming back to the High Court? Now, the one at the Supreme Court was in respect of a constitutional matter, where she was seeking an interpretation. Based on that, she filed an injunction. Now, going to the High Court is an administrative matter, where she's seeking to quash the processes that are ongoing before the committee. So, basically, that's the next line of action for her. But mind you, her case is still pending. The substantive matter itself at the Supreme Court is still pending. Not much has been heard about it. But yes, the fresh step that we are learning today is the fact that she's now before the High Court for judicial review in respect of the same processes that she's contending.
Perfect point. Dennis Pobero, Damesko, I appreciate you, as always, breaking the matters down for us.
Lawyer who spoke, prophesy into your life. You want to be a good lawyer.
Just as you have inspired me to do.
Thank you.
Absolutely.